Good evening. Notable prosecutions under the Mann Act continued. In 1949, Rex Ingram, a black actor, was convicted. He was arrested in 1948 and pled guilty regarding transporting a teen girl to New York for immoral purposes. Are you catching the running theme of this immoral purposes? He was sentenced to 18 months in jail and only served 10 months. This did seriously impact his career for the next 6 years following 1949. He was indeed married when he was arrested. Now, let's move on to the case that will be the focal point for this video. And trigger warning, this one is a doozy. This takes us to 1950. Frank LaSalle, who was a serial child molester, he was convicted. His aliases included, but were not limited to, the following: Frank Warner, Frank Patterson, Frank Johnson, Frank LaPlante, Frank Robinson, Frank O'Keefe, Frank Fogg, Harry Patterson, Jack O'Keefe. He had a criminal record dating back to June of 1938 that included, but was not limited to, the following: kidnapping and sex trafficking. Those were suspected crimes within St. Louis, Missouri. Enticing a minor, indecent assault, bigamy, check fraud, assault and battery, hit and run, rape, desertion, and no support. And the desertion and no support was in regards to his second wife and his daughter. In March of 1948, he approached Florence Sally Horner, who was then 10 years old, as she was trying to steal, due to a dare from classmates, a 5-cent notebook from Woolworths. Now, Frances Horner, also known as Sally, April 18, 1937 to August 18, 1952. He told her that he was an FBI agent, and in order for her to avoid reform school for her crime of attempting to steal a 5-cent notebook, she must meet with him periodically. June 15th of 1948, he abducted Horner. He had her tell her mother that he was the father of 2 of her school friends and that his name was Frank Warner. He had Horner say that she was invited on the Warner family week-long vacation in Atlantic City in order for them to see the Jersey Shore. She was also made to write letters home claiming that the vacation would be going on longer than originally told. Now, when she was permitted to leave with him, what made it so believable to her mother is that they were originally accompanied by a woman going by the name of Miss Robinson. Now, LaSalle had told Horner that she was his 26-year-old secretary and he paid her a sum of $90. Upon their arrival at Atlantic City, Miss Robinson departed ways. Now, June 31st of 1948, Ella Horner, Sally's mother, received her last letter from Sally. Ella contacted the police. August 4th, 1948, the police investigated the sender's address in Atlantic City. No one was in the house. There were 2 packed suitcases, and this professional, or what they call a studio photo of Sally, was present. Now, for 21 months, LaSalle took Sally through several states under various aliases claiming to be her father. The first place that they stayed for a great length of time was Baltimore, Maryland. Horner was enrolled at a Catholic grammar school under the name Madeline LaPlante. LaSalle carried a gun with him in order to keep her from talking or even attempting to escape. April 1949, he relocated with Horner to Dallas, Texas, to a trailer park. Horner was registered at a school as Florence Planette. She then confided, eventually, in a school friend. And then, after that, Horner confided to Ruth Janish, who was a neighbor. Now, Ruth was already suspicious of LaSalle's demeanor around Horner and his possessiveness towards who he was telling everybody was his daughter. Janice was unable to fully admit to herself the true circumstances between LaSalle and Horner, and at this time, what Sally was telling Janice wasn't the full story. It was more or less like, oh, he's not really my dad. But she really wasn't getting into, as people would say, the nitty gritty of the situation. Now, it does need to be noticed that Ruth Janish was not made aware until after LaSalle's death that while Sally Horner was in school, LaSalle was sexually assaulting Ruth Janish's then 5-year-old daughter. In early March 1950, Janish and her husband moved to San Jose, California for work and heavily requested that LaSalle move with them to a motorhome and said that, Janish and her husband would cover lodging for him and his daughter in hopes to continue contact with Horner and to keep an eye on the situation. Mid-March 1950, Janish convinced Horner to tell her everything and then let her call her family from her home phone. The first call was to her mother, Ella. The line was disconnected. In February 1950, Ella had lost her job as a seamstress. The second call was a collect call to Susan, Sally's sister. She asked her to contact the FBI and disclosed her full location. March 22nd, 1950, Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office arrested LaSalle. LaSalle contended that he was Horner's father. It wasn't until New Jersey authorities confirmed that Horner's biological father had passed away 7 years prior that he finally gave up on that lie. April 1st, 1950, Horner was returned to her mother at the Philadelphia International Airport, and LaSalle was extradited to New Jersey. April 3rd, 1950, he was sentenced to 30 to 35 years in the Trenton State Prison. As I pointed out previously, Florence Sally Horner did live until 1952. Unfortunately, she passed away in a car accident, and her cause of death was a snapped neck. We will continue with notable prosecutions tomorrow.